It's so good to see everybody today here with us. We have some really, really awesome tips for you for our for time management, and we've specifically tailored this seminar for managing your time as an online student. And so, just a few reminders before we get started into the presentation. Please, if you haven't filled out the update form yet, please fill that out and turn it into either Ron or I. Also, we have grade checks coming up on Friday that are due, and we have posted a tutorial on a few changes about how the grade checks are going to work. And so you can find that on our Facebook page, and I'll put those links in the chat at the end if anybody needs them. But at the end of the seminar, we'll just have a discussion about time management, and hopefully, as we're going through the presentation, that you'll be able to think of some tips for your other students and for Ron and Yosh and I. So let me go ahead and get started and share my screen. Okay, so here we go. You are in Time Management for Online Success from Haskell Trio. We're going to watch a short video to start us off. Here we go. Ron, take it away.
All right, that sounds great. Okay, so to start off with, one of the things that I like to do is I want you to visualize something. Before you set your goals for the semester, I want you to visualize what it's going to be like at the end of the semester when you've achieved the goals that you've wanted to achieve. Sometimes we don't think about that. We just go into it like, yeah, I'm taking this class, and we kind of go along with it. But I think sometimes we have to decide early what we're going to do in that class. I took a class in my undergraduate that we had to contract our grade for the semester. And I kind of like that concept because then you set right away what grade you're going to get. And so, I want you to think about that. Think about what you want, the outcomes you want at the end of the semester, things that will help you feel good about yourself, about your accomplishments, about the things that you want to, that will, the steps that it's going to get you closer to your dreams and your goals. And so in doing that, then you stop and you break it down. What can I do every day that will help me get a step closer to my dream? What can I do this semester that will help me get closer to my dreams? And so we want to set some goals that are measurable. For some people, sometimes students say, well, I want to get good grades this semester. But, you want to set goals that are very specific. So you want to say, I want to get an A in this class. I've always had issues with science or with writing or whatever it is. And, then you want to put a lot of effort into that. And so you set that goal as a measurable goal. I want to get an A. And then you break it down. What will it take for me to get an A in this course? Include others. That's a very important one, especially in this age now that we're not on campus and in classrooms. You may be at home, you may have siblings, pets, or roommates, partners, whatever it is that you're sharing, space and time with. And so it's very important to include them, to let them know this is my goal this semester. So I'm going to have to work extra hard, maybe some late nights, extra hours, maybe on Saturdays, and once they understand your time commitment to your classes and to your studies, then, they might even be a part of it as somewhere down the line when you're having a bad day and you're just like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything. And, maybe they'll be the one that to say, hey, how are you doing on this goal, and kind of cheer you on. And so it's very important that the people around you know what your goals are, so they can cheer you on. They can encourage you when those days happen. And you will have those days. We all have those days when it's like, I really don't feel like doing anything today, and maybe they'll remind you, but what about this? This is your goal that you're trying to achieve. Write it down. Write down your goal. Put it at the top of your, on the wall by your desk or wherever you're studying. Put it in your notebooks, in your journals, whatever it is that you're going to look at every day. Write it in there, and so that it's a reminder, a daily reminder. This is why I am doing this. And even on those difficult days when you seemed overwhelmed, it's like, why am I in this class? We all get those moments. When you got it written down, you look at it and you stop and think, this is why, because I want to accomplish this goal to help me achieve my dreams. And then do periodic check-ins. It doesn't have to be every day, but it could be. It could be like your mantra every day. This is what I've got to do to achieve my goal. And that kind of gives you some builds you up there and gets you going. So do periodic check-ins at least once, maybe even just once a week at the beginning of each week. Remember why I'm doing this. Okay, especially in the fall, we start getting into holidays that come, like every 3 weeks, there's going to be some kind of a holiday happening. And sometimes we have to remember our goals so that we can stay focused on what we're doing. Okay, I'm ready for the next screen. Page 2. Create a daily schedule. It's very important to know what needs to get done every day and to be proactive about it rather than reactive. I didn't know how to be a very good student when I started college, and it always amazed me that there was someone in the class that knew what was going to be discussed the first day of class. And I was always like, I wonder how they knew that. Half the time I didn't even have my books by the first class, but I came to realize that they were looking ahead, looking at the syllabus, knowing what was going to be discussed in the class, and so they would read ahead, and then that way they were more aware of what was going on. So, as I mentioned in the other part, have your goals written out. Have them where you can see them, so that it's a reminder when you wake up and you think, okay, what do I need to do today to help me accomplish my goal? Time blocking, map out your classes, map out times that you're going to study. Maybe there's a favorite time of the day when you like to read. Map out time to be with your family or your personal time or with friends, to do the things that you like to do. This is this, you're a professional student. You have to look at it this way. This is your investment in your education and in your future. So blocking out your time is very important so that you know and those around you know when you are, whether it's a Zoom meeting or whatever kind of class you would have. Um, Also, when your good study time is. For me, early in the morning is my best time to get up and study before everyone gets up and things start getting busy and all of that. But it's also important to remember to schedule time to be with those around you. If you're here, maybe you have family with you, maybe schedule times that you call home if you're in Lawrence and away from your family, and very important to take time for yourself because um, it's easy to get burned out and it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but you have to take time for yourself to do those things that you enjoy doing, whether it's, just vegging out and watching Friends all night or watching scary movies. Now that we're getting moving toward Halloween, I've already seen people decorating, and maybe that's your thing. So take that time to do what you enjoy doing, and it gives you a break. It frees your mind up so that you can go back and look at your schedule and say, okay, now I need to get back on track here. Um, okay, the next one is connect with your instructors and your advisor. It is so important that you understand that, this is your education. No one can earn it for you, and the diploma itself it's a piece of paper, but it's your education that's what's the most important, because that's what you're trading your time and energy and money and resources. It's your education that you're sacrificing these things for right now. And so your instructors are a big part of this. And it's important to stay in contact with them so that they understand how important this is to you. Because sometimes if a student starts missing classes, or they're not doing the work, or their grades start dropping, we in student support services, we get emails saying, this student, something's going on. Can you check up on them? And then if you don't um, connect with your instructors, then they think, well, the student's not really serious about their education. But if they know what your dreams are, they know what your goals are for this semester, and you've stayed in steady contact with them, and maybe something an emergency comes up, and you just got some things that you need to take care of, they will work with you. They will hear what you have to say, but you have to take that step to let them know that this class is important to me, and I'm working hard, and I'm trying to do everything I can. So it's important to keep them informed and where you're at. It's very important that you remember that you are worth your dreams. And I always, my children were all involved in sports, and I always told them there's the add one rule. You can always add one more. So if you're working on trying to um, uh, do better at making free throws, you can always add another one. You can always try one more time. If you're lifting weights, you can add another push-up, or whatever it is that will help you focus in on what you're trying to accomplish. And you are worthy of your dreams. That's your dream. This is your education, and so you get out of it what you put into it. If think about it in terms of, if you were at a restaurant and you ordered something, and it came out and it wasn't just what you wanted, or it didn't fit, you would want to get what you paid for. And so this is what you're paying for, is your education. Again, like with your time and your energy, your emotions, those days when you think, oh my God, why am I doing this? That, think about your goals, think about your dreams, and share them also with your advisor, because your advisors can help direct you where you're going. Sometimes you may get a year or two into your program and realize maybe I need to kind of adjust and go in a different direction. Well, your advisor, if they know what you're going for, then they can help you with that. So that's a very important thing, that they know that you are being proactive about your education, and that you're willing to do, and every day you're going to put time and energy into achieving your goals. So um, I will turn it over to the next.
I will be talking about prioritizing your assignments. So for very first off, we want to know that, or we want to make sure that we're looking at all of the material that we have to get completed. So you also need to understand the task or how long it might take you. So making sure that we are looking at our different tasks, our different deadlines, if we have to study what's going to be important. So we're going to be looking at prioritizing, and then the importance of why we're doing those, the scope of it, and then the due dates. So you want to set a deadline for each task. Now, I know that's kind of difficult, and what you want to try to do is get those tasks at least done a couple hours, if not a day before it's due. This gives you peace of mind. This also cuts down on your stress. And then, like Ron was saying, if you, explain to people what you're trying to do, you can also have people help you to stay accountable for those goals until you yourself are disciplined enough or work on it enough to make sure that you do it yourself. Now, some of you guys are already doing that, and that's awesome. So this might be just a refresher. And then so for me, what I try to do is I use my journal. So I have this with me all the time if you guys have come into my office. And what I try to do is in the evenings, I try to set time aside to put just everything that's due, everything that I need to get completed for either the day or the week. I want to write those down. And then I start prioritizing, okay, what should I get done first? So you're wanting to look at what's going to take more time, all right? Or in those cases, that's going to be more important or urgent. You want to try to get to those things as soon as possible. The more that you're able to get those things completed, so those bigger tasks you get completed earlier, the smaller tasks aren't going to be so hard. So if you start off with the smaller tasks, I mean, you may feel like you're getting those completed and maybe that works for you. But over time, once you get to those bigger tasks, it's going to be more daunting to do that. So again, trying to get those taken care of. Let's see. So again, the effective technique, take care of the bigger and urgent tasks first, and then prioritize your assignments ahead of time. To give yourself a roadmap. Again, making sure that you give yourself plenty of time. If you know what's coming up, you're going to bring that stress level down. If you know that you're kind of cutting it close, that's really going to spike up your anxiety. That's going to make it more difficult, and you're going to add more on an assignment that, say, it was supposed to give, you're supposed to take an hour, but if you have that stress and anxiety, that assignment may take you an hour and a half. Okay, so you can go ahead and go on to the, so that's kind of just setting that for the priorities on the assignments. Okay, so allowing for computer and internet issues. How many of you guys have already had issues with the computer in some way? I want to say everybody maybe. Yes, yes, no, yes. So now with millions on the web, complications will happen, okay? So you want to allow yourself time before. Again, I was talking about giving yourself a couple of hours, a couple of days, if possible. The biggest thing that we hear from students is that they miss the due date, or they miss turning it in because of some sort of issue. So you want to be careful when it happens, or when that comes to your classes. I know a lot of the Blackboard courses, some of the instructors will set a time as well as a date. So you want to make sure that you're doing that a couple hours before. A good example, and this is for our leadership course, students would need to download their projects, and they were like, oh, I can do it, an hour before class. And sometimes those projects were really huge and they weren't able to get those downloaded right away. So, and then they had to turn that in and present. So sometimes, you just need to be careful when it comes to these different issues. Allow yourself some time. And then also, if you're having any issues outside of that, you want to make sure that you're contacting Haskell IT. We did put the website and their phone number down there, as well as Blackboard if you're having any issues. I'm going to make sure that you're contacting us if you have any other different issues again. But plenty of time, and then just, make sure that you're getting everything done. Hopefully that's very helpful for everybody.
All right. Thanks, Yosh. Thanks, Ron. So I'm going to talk about studying. Can everybody hear me? Can you guys? Okay, cool. So I'm going to talk about study. So a lot of the things that have already been covered, it has to do with how better ways to manage your time. All those things that we just talked about are going to help you keep your time in smaller increments and help you manage your time better. And so I'm sure that your professors have told you about the rule that for every credit hour, you should be spending 2 credit hours outside of class studying for that class. So if you have, and I just put the formula on here, but basically what it boils down to is that you should be studying 6 to 9 hours, spending 6 to 9 hours of study time per class outside of the classroom. And so I'm going to just kind of break this down a little bit for you. So I don't know if you have spent any time on our virtual student resource page, but the student government Facebook page posted a tutorial on how to block your time, your study time, into an Excel document. And so I just kind of did it in this PowerPoint way, but I just want you to get a visual of what it means to just to see how many hours that you're actually planning to spend per class. So I just put the classes that I have in my schedule on this sheet, and then I kind of color coded it to help me visualize a little bit better what my class time is and what time I'm spending outside of class studying. So if you look at Math 101 over here, so the class time, I put a border around it so I could identify that really quickly. And I just laid it out in hour increments. So my day, and I know I'm not going to get up before 10 o'clock. I know that I'm going to be in bed until I have to get that first class. And so I'm going to allow that, or that's what I want to do for my schedule. So I started my day at 10 and I end my day at 5. So this is kind of basically like a work week that you can set up. You can set up the time at any time, any time frame that you want to use. But I left off Saturday and Sunday because I want to try to not study on Saturday and Sunday. But let's just see how that worked out. So if I'm supposed to spend 6 to 9 hours outside of classroom time studying for math, I have kind of tried to incorporate that in spaces where I wanted to do that, and mainly because I'm not that great at math and I want to spend some time in math tutoring. So all I really have to do just by looking at the schedule that I've created is look at the blue squares and count up the number of hours. So as you can see from the blue squares that are on the screen, I've really only got 4 hours of study time into this week. So if you move through further in your planning, then you can also extend your time past 5 o'clock, maybe into the evenings, or even add some time block out some time on Sunday evening, let's say. If you don't want to do anything on Saturday school related, or if you're working on Saturdays, then perhaps you can expand this spreadsheet to include some extra time. And obviously, if I'm supposed to really be doing 6 to 9 hours of study time, I'm going to have to add some time, or I'm going to have to work out the schedule a little bit better. And it goes the same way with each class. So if you look at the green boxes in English, I only have English class Tuesday and Thursday, but I count 4 boxes of English that I've set aside to do English homework. So that's really only 4 hours a week. The only thing that I probably got close with in devising this schedule was the AIS. I know the AIS is going to require a lot of reading. And so I was, in my initial configuration, I knew that I was going to have to like put way more blocks in. So outside of the class time, I have AIS 110 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then, so the boxes outside of that total up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm getting close, right? But this took me maybe 20 minutes to do. And if you do it in an Excel document where the squares are already set up, you can just plug in your classes and set up a time schedule like this. Does anybody notice anything unique about this schedule that I've set up?
It's properly staggered.
You have me time?
Yes, both. Thank you. It is properly staggered, and it does include me time. And that's super, super important. When I first tried to do the schedule, the thing that I was thinking was that I am not going to do any work during lunch. I'm going to take that time and make sure that I eat so I can remain healthy and just chill and have that break in the time. I did also include some workout time, but as you can see, since I don't have the proper number of hours or the number of hours that I might need to study, I may have to take out beading on Wednesday at 11. Or I may have to switch one of my workout times to the weekend. But I mean, I'm doing 10 to 5. So I could get up early, an extra hour early one day, or, add an extra hour. I could extend it out until 6, since I probably don't eat supper until 6 anyway, right? What's another thing that you might see on the schedule that is unique or that stands out to you?
I was just gonna say you got AIS on Monday. You got AIS on 1 or 2 more days here before English, and I've taken during the summer. I've taken History of North American Indians or something like that. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but whenever I'm doing reading in that course, it just makes me heated. It gets me mad. So it definitely throws me off for the rest of the day. If I got to take an English course and write a paper about something or even something personal, I would definitely probably schedule that one for towards the end of the day.
Well, and that's such a great point too, because it depends on what your preference is, right? Your content. I scheduled the reading ahead of the class because I know that I'm going to be called upon. I might be called upon, and I want to be able to remember what the reading was about. Even sometimes when you just scan a reading and, like you read what did they say? If you have to be able to associate, or you have to be able to know when you should do a close reading. That means read it very closely all the way through, or when you can just read the first page, the last page, and a couple of pages in between, or just scan it. But yeah, that's a really good point. It just depends on your preference, right? I just want you to know that in some of these spaces, like at least once a day, I have checked my Blackboard and email. Every single day. And I write that down because I just need a reminder. because that's so, so important to make sure that you're checking Blackboard and you're checking email. And so you can write all of this stuff down and never look at it again, right? The important thing is that you absolutely have to try to follow it. And the first week after you try and follow this schedule, if something goes awry, you can make adjustments as you go on. But like Ron said, this is a perfect way to manage your time by just blocking out times. And I started out in hour increments. So as I move further through the semester, I can massage that out and maybe do half hour or maybe extend it to 2 hours in a block. But it was really, really simple. And like I said, it only took me 20 minutes. Does anybody have any questions or feedback about like something that you might have tried, or has anybody tried this?
I do. So here, wait. I'm gonna have to. I have something similar like this for my classes.
Okay.
But for me, I like doing it like in a physical sense where I have to. So typing it on a digital thing, I have to see it, so I don't like close a document and then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have anything anymore. So I did this with my calendar.
I don't know if anybody can see you there. Okay. Okay.
They're all color coded for what I have classes and assignments that I need.
I was gonna say that like our new like email, the Office 365, they have a like in the Outlook, the email part, they have a calendar in there, and you can actually like block off like time, and like it's like you can color code it and everything.
Excellent point. I use that. Okay. So that's why when I send you meeting planners, like I sent out meeting planners to all of my students for this seminar, and you can color code those and categorize them however you want. So yes, and it's really awesome to use that tool in the actual email program because you're checking that every day anyway. So you're going to always be in there. And so the reminders come up as well. You can use this in multiple ways, and not only just with an Excel spreadsheet or in your Outlook calendar, but you can also transfer this information to your phone and get reminders in that way too. When I was a college student, my phone, if I didn't have my calendar phone, I don't know what I would have done. I tried what Delilah did, and it just got so confusing and so daunting because I try to incorporate my extracurricular activities in there. I mean, work. I worked 3 jobs when I was a full-time student, and so it just got really difficult, but the phone thing really worked for me. There's also all kinds of apps that you can use that will assist you. There's a study.com app where you can load in your classes and it will send you reminders for class time. Also, I wanted to point out too, and since we're in a virtual environment, some of these courses that I've listed, I may not have to actually attend every single time that I've put it in a slot. So let's say that my psych class they just post on Blackboard. So at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, even though that's what's on my schedule, I may be signing into Blackboard at 1 o'clock, getting my assignment and completing my assignment then. And so you could kind of count that for study time outside of the classroom as well. So we've talked about self-care in Trio, and we talk about it all the time. This is so, so important for time management because you want to be on top of your game and you want to feel good to be on top of your game all the time. A lot of the students that I talk to that have a handle on time management are always, they just won't let themselves be. You know, just be patient with yourself and try not to be so hard on yourself. And give yourself time to settle into the semester and settle into a schedule to be able to manage your time as the best that you can. If you plug in those self-care time slots into your schedule, you're going to be more resilient. You're going to bounce back when you have those stress because everybody has those times of stress that they're dealing with, right? Also, you want to make it a priority. You need to prioritize yourself in your schedule like I did. Like you saw, I decided at the very beginning I was just going to make sure that I took lunch every day. And that was going to be the time that I set aside to practice for self-care. So you can also try to do some virtual study groups. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about that, or how, if you are still, calling your classmates or friends from the semesters when you were here or when you were living on campus. But there's all kinds of ways that you can connect with other students. Reach out to your instructor and say, hey, I really am not I'm not feeling like I can get these concepts on my own. So is there somebody that can you put out a message and say, hey, if anybody would like to start a study group, or here's a space on Blackboard where everybody can get together and exchange information if you want to connect with each other and within a class, or maybe even across classes. So sometimes it just helps just to have somebody else there. If you're on the phone with them, you guys are taking the same class, or somebody that's taken the class before, just to have that support. And there's all kinds of ways you can do it. You can do it on FaceTime, Skype. You can even just do it on speakerphone. So before we go any further, we're going to talk a little bit about procrastination, because that is a big deal in all of our time management lives, right? So let me stop sharing my screen for a second, because I want to put a document in the chat. I have a little handout for you. And so you can open it up and just take a look at it. So everybody should be able to go to the chat and open up this document. And then I'll reshare my screen again so everybody can see it. And
I don't know if it shares to mobile devices, because I don't see a link.
Okay, hang on. Let me try that again. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about it. I just want you to look at it so you can have it and kind of study it. It really does provide really good tips on how to combat procrastination. Really, I'll just email it Monday on the weekly or the Trio weekly reminder, so everybody will have it.
There we go.
But this is basically what it looks like. So the first thing that you need to do is really just identify what's causing you to procrastinate. Are you worried or afraid that you're not going to do well? Is it too big of a task? Do you think it's too difficult? Do you get distracted by details? This is me. I get distracted by details. I will go off on a formatting tangent, and I know that that's me procrastinating, right? I want this paper to be formatted just right, and I will spend so much time, and I'm not researching, I'm not reading, I'm not doing anything else. And I can never get the project perfect. My project has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. So these are some things that questions that you can ask yourself, just to do a deep dive and to nail down why you're procrastinating. And then once that you have identified the reasons, you can identify some of the following suggestions to help you implement and conquer procrastination. So pinpoint what you're afraid of. Stop trying to be so perfect. And then you can try to manage how you can just, conquer the procrastination beast, if you will. So does anybody have any time management strategies that they're using right now that you want to share? with the group? Like, what do you how do you guys manage your time as an online student? Sarah.
Okay, so I have um okay, I have multiple ways of keeping track of things because sometimes I might forget to do it on one source. So like pretty basically when I'm out and about, I use my phone for a to put down projects or things so I don't forget them right away when I'm out and about. And then when I get home, I kind of put them in my paper planner so I can see it. I have like a big desk planner. And I also like keep my weekly schedule up above my I have like one of those block schedules. So I like keep it right above where I can see it all the time. And also I noticed that like having a tiny little notebook with all your like people who you need to contact, like Lori or you know, your professors, I keep it like right at hand so like it doesn't take any time to look it up, you know, or if you forget it or something. So easy peasy.
Awesome. Can you, Sarah, can you share a little bit about how hectic your schedule is? Like, tell us some of the things that you're dealing with.
So my daughter is in kindergarten. It's her, you know, she's online now, and I have 16 hours at school myself. But most of the time, like I'm like back and forth between my own coursework and then like trying to help her. So it's like I'm taking two, like, I don't know, it's like my time's constantly divided. And then I study like usually really late till super late. And then like I take a break so I can feed Evie and stuff. And like my mom kind of like keeps her busy for the most part at night. And then like on weekends is usually when I work, or like the day off that I have of school. I have like a morning off where I don't have school work, and that's when I'll do like working. So every like day, every hour is planned. It's crazy.
Cool, cool. So, I mean, there's a lot of students out there that are managing multiple levels of classwork, family, personal time. And, you know, the reason why I think it's important for students to share what you're doing with each other is because nearly everyone, I mean, everyone I see in the room has a really good GPA. So whatever it is that y'all are doing, it's working. Does anybody else want to share how they're managing their time right now?
I was just gonna say it. Everybody in here is probably, it's like the choir preaching to the choir. But it's good to toss around ideas what other people are doing. What I do is, I don't know if you could see it. I tape up hard copies of everything that's due and the due dates onto my mirror. I kind of had to make my kitchen my office so until I get into another apartment, but it's been working for me. I got a digital copy on my phone. I set reminders like you were saying in a calendar on my phone. I do the same thing, so that helps me out a lot. And the very first thing I do is I go into Blackboard and I go into the calendar of each class and I work on whatever's closest to the due dates. Those assignments is the order I do them in. And yeah, it's been working so far. So
Awesome. Well, that thing on the mirror, that's pretty cool.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah, like my
awesome.
psych and yeah, a couple other classes. So. And
Cool.
I just mark them off as soon as I get done with the assignments with the due dates and stuff, and I turn them in, because all of those assignments received emails that I get, they just add up and yeah. I mean, if I know I did it and I know I turned it in, then I usually don't pay attention to them. So
That's awesome. That's a really good point too that Francis brings up is like when you check something off or when you mark something off the list, it really gives you motivation because it's finished, right? And you can go on
oh
to
yeah, you could physically see them like as I'm going down, I'm that much closer to the semester being done. So
right,
yeah, and it kind of gets a snowball effect, I suppose you could say.
right. Does anybody else want to share anything? And really important,
Raising my hand.
who's raising your hand? Delilah?
Yo, should just see me all the way. To be honest, I procrastinate a lot. Like, I don't understand how my mind works because normally I just do everything that, like, if I have something that's because I'm taking Korean language class, I have something due every single day of the week so I can keep practicing and I can keep remembering how to speak and read it. And sometimes I forget, and then in the morning, right before it's due, I freak out and then I turn it in. But I usually get it done right before. Usually right after my class, like immediately right after, I do it because then it's fresh in my mind and then I can just get it done and I have other stuff to do. But then I have 2 classes that don't really meet up. They don't get on like Blackboard. They don't get on like Zoom. We don't meet up for anything. It's just all on our own. Yeah. And it's weird because it's the 2 classes that I really want to learn the most from, and they're both like, yep, you'll figure it out on your own. Oh, no. Okay, I guess I'm reading a book.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like for my other classes, it's just like, well, what do you think the answer is? And I'm like, you're not gonna give me an answer if I give you my answer? It's like, no, whatever you answer, it's fine. Like, what if it's not right? It's fine. I'm like, that doesn't help me. But I mean, I think just because of like the classes that I have this semester, it's just whatever you think is correct. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess I can procrastinate all I want because usually what comes out of my mind in that instant is usually what I want to say and not what I think about for too long. Because then I don't want it to sit, because then it makes me doubt myself a little too much. Because if I just say it, then it comes out better. Yeah.
Who raised their hand? Jared, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I was going to kind of piggyback off of Delilah and the fact that I am a horrible procrastinator and I don't have very good time management skills. But the thing that kind of keeps me moving forward is just making sure the spaces you're in are like not cluttered. I think that's what distracts me the most is I can do dishes now or I can vacuum, and there's a bunch of things that I can do to procrastinate. But as long as I stay up on that, I'm in a space that doesn't feel like I've got a ton of things going on, and it lets me focus on the task at hand. Because I know I will get procrastinated if I see those things, so I need to just be on top of it. Make sure I make my bed, do that kind of thing, since you're in your own space and you can't really leave.
So here's the biggest procrastination trick, okay? You can trick yourself into thinking that you're doing something productive. So if you're cleaning, you're still being productive, right? So you're doing something, but you're avoiding your reading it, right? This is the biggest mind trick of procrastination ever. So it's just really a matter of catching yourself, right? Being like, oh my God, I'm cleaning. I've been cleaning for an hour. What am I doing? Right?
Okay, I've been procrastinating for so many years that I'm really good at it, and I have to procrastinate because it puts just enough pressure on me to get done my work in the very little allotted time that I have left. So, and I find out in those short hours or minutes that I have left, I actually do, like Delilah was saying, I do make the more correct and decisions, and my brain starts basically not overloading, but definitely working at a speed where concepts and everything just flow more clearly. Words come to me, sentence comes, you know what I mean? It's just I've been doing it for so long that I don't know any other way. So, and I've came to Haskell like 4 other times, so and I've had plenty of practice to procrastinating.
Right. Well, I mean, I always tell students, I'm like, just do what Nike says, right? Nike says, just do it. And the thing of it is people laugh at that. But once you get started, sometimes you can build off of a momentum, right? Like once I'm just going to sit down and start reading this book. And even to get engaged with a reading, sometimes I have to like read it over a few times. But then I'm like, oh, okay. I'm good. I've got a little bit of momentum going now. So now I can go ahead and just do it and finish it till the end. I'm sorry, Sarah, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, you're fine. It's actually pretty basically what you said. Like sometimes I'll be doing whatever I'm procrastinating with, and or I can catch myself right before I start doing the procrastinating behavior, and I'm like, is this the decision you want to make? Do you want yourself to be, your future self to be like crunch time, or you don't want yourself to be in that crunch time moment, and that would suck. So do it right now. I just cracked the whip on myself.
Well, everybody's situation, personal situation, like yours, having a kid and having a job, that all that stuff, is a little bit prioritized before other things. And as for me, I don't mean to sound some kind of way, but I can do that because I don't have a job. I don't need to work. I can get around fairly easy. I don't, I have a girlfriend. I don't have no kids to worry about. So I could basically wake up and do my homework whenever I need to.
But you still procrastinating, baby.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I said, I wanted to go ahead and say something else about the working ahead and being on top of it. See, the thing with that is my psychology class, for instance, I'm about a week and a half ahead of it. So I'm waiting on a peer review that she says she can't do until next week because she's doing other things. Well, I'm waiting for her to peer review my paper so I can get my work done, and I'm already all the way ahead in all my work, and I'm waiting on the instructor to issue the next work. You know what I mean? That just goes along with me not having nothing else to do except my school. Like my schooling, I think, is basically my 100% focus, is probably why I do so well, or am doing so well, will do so well, I should say. God,
Right.
now I just feel like
you have to rely on other people when other people, their actions are dependent upon how you're going to move forward. And so
exactly.
That's really tough. And that's like a whole nother seminar on group work and things like that. But, those are some of the things that you kind of have to, that goes along with just being able to manage the stress of managing your schedule and what you've got going on. Does anybody have any concerns or questions about anything that's going on in your classes, with the CARES Act, with Pell, with anything?
Sure, all of that.
Yeah, I was going to say Pell. I was going to question Pell or have questions about Pell Grant.
Okay, so the financial aid department, they had some Zoom meetings over the weekend, and we recorded one. And so I'll put the website into the chat. But if you go to our website, it's like a 45-minute recording that they're there's also a short summary sheet that kind of summarizes. Is there any specific question that you might have that we could answer for you right now, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, are we still gonna? Well, I'll bring that up with financial aid. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're more equipped to answer that question.
Right, and they have in the recording and on the sheet that we had prepared, it has their contact information, and so I'm gonna post that in here. So if you go to this website, at the very top of the page, it's the financial aid update, and so it talks about the CARES Act, what they're going to do about distributing Pell. What was the other one? Oh, the TCU scholarship. So since I mentioned that everybody in the room has such a great GPA, you need to go to collegefund.org and fill out your TCU scholarship like this week.
A full circle, right? Is that the only one?
Well, they said that there would be a link, or it should say TCU, but just fill out the thing.
If we did it in January, do we need to do it again?
What?
If we filled that out in January, do we need to do it again?
I think so. I mean, I'm not 100% certain, but they were adamant on the call or on the Zoom meeting that everybody needs to go there and fill it out. I think what's happened is that once you fill out the application, they're going to pull the information from the TCU to automatically consider you for the full circle. So it's just one application now.
It
I
is.
would take any
That's what they do.
I would
You
not
fill
take
out-
any chances. I would go to the website to collegefund.org. I'm gonna put it on here.
Yeah, you just go to the webpage and then it's a status check sheet. You check in on the status of your application is what you're doing.
Cool.
And I want to know what takes. Again, I don't expect you to know this, but what takes the finance department so long to process scholarships? I'm waiting on a scholarship from St. Joseph's Indian School in South Dakota, and the director of the scholarship committee had to get a hold of me and ask me why their check has not yet been cashed yet or deposited. So I'm like, I have no idea. I'll find out for you.
So, I mean, I can tell you based on my own experience, because I also got several scholarships when I was a student. And when they receive the check, they have to send it to the BIE. So it takes like 3 weeks for them to process that. So like my tribal scholarship would come in sometimes July, at the end of July, and sometimes the first part of August, and I wouldn't get it until sometimes the end of September or the beginning of October, because it has to run through all these different camps. That has to do with the fact that we're a federal institution, right? If you went to KU, they would get the check and cash it and then put the money in your account. It would maybe take a week.
Also, there's only 2 ladies who process those, right? Kelly and
Tina Tortolu's in it now.
Yeah, they did announce on the Zoom meeting that Tina, they have a third person now that's going to be helping them, because they've got all this CARES Act money coming out. So they just, you should have already received the first distribution of the CARES Act. And so as they're verifying information, the CARES Act was distributed, and now they're verifying more information to distribute other funds, right? Or I mean, from that same distribution, the very first one. Then they're going to distribute another round in November. So I think it's 400. So this first round was 300. The November round is going to be somewhere around 400. And then somewhere in the middle is going to be a technology distribution of somewhere around $700. And then in the middle of that is your Pell and your tribal scholarships. And then we'll be TCU.
Now, is that funding for last semester?
Which one?
Well, you talked about the technological
That's
help.
for this academic year.
Oh, so you guys are gonna help us with internet and stuff like that. With that funding, when can we expect that?
I don't know for sure. Sometime between now and November.
Okay, well, I just want to be able to tell my internet company
Sure.
something.
Sure. I totally,
all right.
I totally
So
get
that's expected.
Right, right. And I think that they were, I don't know what process they were going through, but they talked about eligibility. And if you go to that website link in the summary sheet, is all of that criteria that you have to meet or what they're going through to verify things is all listed there. But they said you can always reach out to them and ask them for specifics, like your specific situation. When am I going to get my check? Where am I at with my tribal scholarship? Or where am I at with, things like that.
Okay.
Anybody
Well,
else? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. How rude of me. I didn't introduce myself. My name's Albert Baxter. I haven't actually. I have my interview tomorrow with Mr. McKinney. So
Okay.
asked me to come in. And this is awesome. I'm getting information. So I just want to introduce myself.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? So don't forget about the grade check that's due on Friday. We posted a tutorial on how to fill out the form on our Facebook page, and it's also on our website, and the link I put into the chat. And then Friday, we got a prize, so we're gonna release a picture of the prize for everybody that turns in their grade check tomorrow. So watch our Facebook page.
Do we get those off the student portals? The grades? Can we do that?
Well,
Grade checks.
you'd be able to do it in Blackboard. If you
Okay.
can't get it off of Blackboard, I would reach out to my professor or my instructor and ask them to tell you what your grade is. But you're going to fill out the grade checks yourself this semester.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lori, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I'm in biology, bio lab, and there's two different teachers and they have different assignments. So it's kind of like two different classes. So I'm like, should I count that as one class because it technically is, or should I count it as like biology lecture and biology lab?
Well,
Goes down as one.
yeah, I would count it as one, but I mean, here's what you should do, and here's what I would recommend that you do. Whatever you're most comfortable with, if you think that you want, you may not be doing as well in the lab, then perhaps you should reach out to the lab professor. And you're like, okay, well, I'm doing really good in the classroom, but I'm really concerned about what I'm doing in the lab. I'm going to reach out to the lab professor. And if you want to provide us with that grade, because like I say like we talk about in the tutorial, the grade checks are really just for your benefit. So we're giving you this opportunity 4 times a year to reach out to your professor. And so whatever you're most concerned with, we will accept. So if you say, I'm really concerned about my lab grade, I'm going to reach out to the lab instructor. Here's what my grade is in biology. And you can indicate that in the comments. That way, when we meet on our monthly meeting, or if I look at the grade check, I'm going to send you an email and say, hey, Sarah, how are you doing in your lab? I noticed that, you said that you might have some concerns in that. Everything's going okay. It looks like you got to be in there anyway, but just checking in with you. Cool.
Are you guys gonna have like how we had it like other semesters when we were on campus? Like if we couldn't attend like during like work hour times, because I work from like 8 to 5, so like I like probably couldn't be able to make it.
Yes.
Could you like pre-record those and then I could like watch them or something?
Yeah, everything that we do in the Zoom are going to be recorded. So like the Haskell 101 seminar that we did last week is recorded and is on our website. And let me put that link in there. And so what you can do is when you watch the recording, if you'll note or notice on the Haskell 101 seminar, right underneath the recording is a link for a post-seminar survey. So you just click on that and it'll take you right to a questionnaire that's about 4 questions. So just answer the questions and submit it. That way we'll know that you've watched the recording and we'll give you credit for that.
Okay.
Cool? Everybody good?
Are we gonna have a link sent out? I had to call around for the meeting room, and is it just the same meeting room every week?
Yeah,
Is it?
same one. All right. Well, it's good to see everybody. I'm so glad that you came, and hopefully we'll get to see you next week too. So if anybody has any questions or needs anything, feel free to reach out to Ron or I.
Do I just forward my grade check to Ron then, or my case manager? Okay.
Yep.
All righty.
All right. It's so good to see everybody. I'll see you all later.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.